Family, before we get too deep in defending the faith, we have to recognize if the person we're talking to is giving us a logical fallacy. That's just a fancy word for a false statement that the other person is giving us in order to defend their position. Usually the reason the other person mentions a logical fallacy is that they don't have enough evidence for their reasoning. It is important to know these fallacies because if you point them out to the person you're speaking with, typically, it helps you in your reasoning as long as you don't use them either. Now, keep in mind, we're not trying to win a debate. We're trying to win souls for Christ. This just happens to be something that will help you in your journey to do that. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get started. By the way, the majority of the information I'll be going over today can be found on carm.org. They have a lot of useful information regarding apologetics. Now, today I'll be doing part 1 of 2, going over 10 of the 19 different logical fallacies. So take out your notebook, pause the video to grab your coffee, and let's do this. Let's start with ad hominem. This is where the other person is attacking you instead of focusing on the argument. An example of this could be them saying, "Clearly you're not smart enough to get a degree from some Bible college to know what you're talking about." Or, "All of you Christians are just so stupid." You see that they're not giving us a reason for their belief. They're also not disputing what you're telling them. This one's really easy to identify because it's an attack on you as a person. Number 2 is appeal to force. Basically, this is them stating that if you don't believe them, something bad will happen. An example is them saying, "Either you believe what I say or I'll rob you," or "Either you stop talking or I'll beat you up." The person is essentially forcing you to do what they say. This is seen a lot in Asia where they tell the Christian to denounce their God or convert to another religion or they'll die. As a Christian, you have to be careful with what you say as well. If you tell the person that they'll go to hell if they don't convert, you're using appeal to force. Remember, we're not trying to scare them into Christianity. We're supposed to defend our beliefs in love. Number 3 is appeal to pity. The other person would make their statement in the hopes that it would affect you emotionally. Basically, it could cause you to be empathetic or sympathetic. They may say something like, "I can't talk to you about this God stuff while I'm sick," or "I'm so hurt that you don't believe me." The person wants you to feel bad for them. Defending our beliefs should not be a pity party. This is a discussion as to why you believe why you do, why I believe why I do. Number 4, appeal to the popular. This one has to do with them wanting you to believe because the majority of people believe it. An example would be, "There are so many scientists that don't believe in God, so he can't be real." Or, "There are more people that don't believe in God than do." As with the other fallacies, they're not giving any actual evidence, just excuses. By the way, it can be super easy to feed into a fallacy, so if they're telling you that there are more atheists than Christians, don't come back with the newest statistics. That is not the point of the discussion. Number 5 is appeal to tradition. This is where they try to get you to believe their statement because something is traditional or has been done for a long period of time. An example would be, "Atheists have existed since time began, so God can't be real," or "I've always been an atheist." Obviously, just because someone has done or believes something for a long period of time doesn't make it true. Believers have existed since Adam and Eve, but that doesn't necessarily prove the existence of God, regardless of whether it's true or not. Number 6 is begging the question or circular argument. This fallacy has to do with making an assumption of something that you believe to be true. Basically, it's a full circle. An example would be, "God doesn't exist because Darwin says so. Darwin is a naturalist, geologist, and biologist. Therefore, God does not exist." The argument's beginning and end will always be the same, even though the middle doesn't have any proof. Don't forget that just because something is compelling does not necessarily mean that it is true. Number 7 is category mistake. This one is really easy to figure out because the statement will not make any sense at all. Technically, it's attributing the facts of one kind that are attributed to another kind. An example would be, "Saying God exists is like saying electric cars should run on blue water." I know you're like, what? Exactly, that's my point. It doesn't make any sense. There are things they're mentioning that just don't fit well with each other. Number 8 is cause and effect. If I'm not mistaken, this was taught to us in science class, except the fallacy has a twist to it. This is when a person assumes that the effect is related to the cause because the events occur together. So for example, when the fuel light comes on in my car, I soon run out of gas. Therefore, the fuel light causes my car to run out of gas. While both things happen simultaneously, it does not mean that one truly causes the other. There are other factors being left out. Number 9 is fallacy of composition. This is when someone assumes that what is true for a part is true for the whole. An example would be, God allows bad things to happen, so he's always bad. Or the Westboro Baptist Church uses a strategy of fear to convert unbelievers. Therefore, all Christians use fear to convert unbelievers. Obviously, looking at the smaller picture does not give proof of the bigger picture. Our last one for today, number 10, is fallacy of division. This one is like fallacy of composition, but in reverse. It's when you assume that what is true for the whole is true for its parts. We'll use the examples from the previous one to show you what I mean. God is always bad, so he allows bad things to happen. Or all Christians use fear to convert unbelievers. Therefore, the Westboro Baptist Church uses a strategy of fear to convert unbelievers. Honestly, it doesn't matter how you twist it. Neither are true, make sense, or prove the non-existence of God. Well, there you have it. Part 1 of our 2-part series of logical fallacies. If you didn't take notes, it might be a good idea to save the video so you can revisit it at a later time. Also, if you want to know when part 2 comes out, don't forget to lightly tap on that subscribe button and poke that bell icon. That way you'll be notified of all my future videos. Before we go, as always, let's pray Psalm 19:14 to God. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Until next time, family, God bless you all.